Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in from across the continent and beyond for a super exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time today, as so many of you are, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world through like 40 live free interactive broadcasts every single month with the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth. It is such a thrill to get to do this job. If you're joining us for the first time in January, it's so nice to have you here. Check out our website at exploringbytheseat.com to learn about all the cool stuff we have on the go. Now, today, there are almost 1,000 of you joining from around the world because today we are going to talk about Artemis. We are going back to the moon for the first time in like 50 years with people, which is really, really exciting. So I'm so thrilled to dive in just a second with Trevor. Before I do, I forgot a housekeeping note because I'm just too excited. So I want to note we do have a Kahoot today. So between our talk and our Q&A, if you want to play along with a little 4-question quiz to test your understanding and have some fun, you can pull up that game pin and do just that. I want a record number of Kahooters today. So we've got 25 minutes till this gets started. Feel free to bring that up in a separate tab. Lots of opportunity for interactivity. Without further ado, I'm so thrilled to have for the first time ever from Plateau Astro, Trevor, who's going to talk to us about his journey to Florida, the amazing Artemis missions, all the cool stuff we're doing going back to the moon, and more. Without further ado, welcome to the broadcast, man, and take us away.
Thank you so much, dude. 1,000 people. Oh, not terrifying at all. No pressure. No pressure, Trev.
No pressure.
All right, let's get into it. So as Jesse said, we're going back to the moon quite soon. And the mission is called Artemis II. So I'm going to tell you all about that, my adventure in Florida about 10 days ago or so. So let's get in. But first, who am I? Who am I? Who are you is probably what you're asking. My name is Trevor. And I teach about space and astronomy here in Montreal. So I teach people how to use telescopes, how to use different astronomy and space apps. You can find planets and the moon and stuff like that. I make videos. Sometimes I work with CBC and other places, make videos myself. And I give presentations in schools. So teaching people about the phases of the moon, doing models like this, why we have seasons, etc. But probably the coolest thing is I have a planetarium. Now, you may have been to a planetarium before, but mine fits in my car, and it's a mobile planetarium, and it inflates like this. And we go inside, a classroom fits inside, and I show you the night sky, all the stars and the constellations, and we tour through the solar system like this and show you the sky. It's really, really, really fun. It's a really cool part of my job. Okay, but I had a real job at one point, okay? You may have heard of NASA before. Probably heard of NASA. A lot of people have. Okay. I did not work at NASA, but I worked at Canada's equivalent. A lot of people don't know this, but Canada has an equivalent similar to NASA, and it's called the Canadian Space Agency. And the Canadian Space Agency does some really, really, really cool stuff. We have astronauts ourselves. Here's one astronaut, David St. Jacques. Got to work with him a few times. He's been into space a few years ago. Joshua Kutrick, another Canadian astronaut. He's supposed to go up to space pretty soon, the next year or so. Jenny Gibbons. I never actually got a photo with her, but she's actually the backup crew for Artemis II. I'll talk about that. And this guy, you're going to hear me talk about this guy a lot, Jeremy Hansen. So I got to work there for a year. It was really, really cool. But let's talk about the mission, Artemis II. So you probably know that we've already been to the moon. We already went to the moon a long, long time ago. We stood on the moon. We put a flag on the moon. And these missions were called the Apollo missions. Have you ever heard of Apollo 11 or Neil Armstrong? That's what we're talking about here. We landed on the moon in this thing. It looks like a spider. And we also brought a car with us on the moon. We did this. We drove around on the moon. But this was a long time ago. As Jesse said, it's been over 50 years. The last time we went to the moon was a long time ago, 1972. That's over 53 years ago. So it's been a long, long time since humans have been around or on the moon. And so I've looked at the moon all my life, but I've never looked up at the moon while people have been there. And that is going to change in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks or months. So let's dive into this, okay? Who, what, where, when, why, and how are we going there? Let's go into it. So who is going? Who is going? Well, as I said, we've been there before. 24 people have been to the moon before. And here's all of them. Again, this is during the Apollo missions. And you look at them, okay? It's all men. It's all white men, whatever you think about that. Okay. They all kind of look kind of the same. Here is what the crew for Apollo 2 looks like. Artemis 2 looks like. Okay. 4 astronauts. 4 astronauts are going to go. If you look on their shoulders, you might see a flag on there and see something different. 3 Americans are going to go and 1 Canadian. So here's what they look like. Okay. So here's Reed Wiseman. He's been to space before, and he's the commander of the mission. Victor Glover. He's going to be the first person of color, the first Black person to go around the moon. This is a very different crew than before. Next, Christina Cook, and she's going to be the first woman to go around the moon. And finally, Jeremy Hansen, okay? And he's the first Canadian to go around the moon, the first non-American to go around the moon. And I know we have a bunch of people from different parts of Canada here. I don't know if I heard Ontario, but if you're from Ontario, he's from London, Ontario. That's where he grew up. And to me, he always looks kind of like Buzz Lightyear to me. If there's ever a Buzz Lightyear look-alike competition, I think Jeremy Hansen would win that one. So Jeremy Hansen, first Canadian, he's going around the moon. Next thing, what are we doing? What are we doing with Artemis II? And does it mean, if we have Artemis II, does it mean we also had an Artemis I? And will there be an Artemis III? Yes, to all of these questions, absolutely. So Artemis I, we went there. We went there about 3 years ago, and in this big rocket, we went around the moon, but there was no astronauts on this mission. We called it an uncrewed mission. We wanted to test the big old spacecraft that you can see there. It went around the moon, took some awesome photos, but just to test, no astronauts on this one. Artemis II, happening very, very soon. It's going to be a similar mission, but this time we're going to have people on there. There's going to be astronauts inside of this capsule right here. And the reason we're doing this is we're doing a crewed, meaning there's going to be people on there, crewed test for future missions. We had Artemis I, Artemis II, and Artemis III happening in a few years from now. We're going to attempt to land back on the surface of the moon. So this is a test bed to land back on the moon. So where are we going? Where are we going with Artemis II? Well, we are going to the moon. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Duh. We are going to the moon. But importantly, we're not landing on the moon for this one. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, here they are in their spacecraft, and you can see the Earth behind them. So they're going to rocket away from the Earth. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to sort of fly around the backside of the moon, as you can see there. All right. And the way that the moon is going to be lit up when they arrive, they're going to see parts of the far side of the moon that no human eyes have ever seen before. So we can't see the far side of the moon from Earth, but these astronauts are going to get to see it and see parts, craters and big lava seas from way long ago. They're going to see parts that human eyes have never seen before. Again, we're not landing on the moon, but it is the first time since 1972, 53 years ago, that humans are leaving Earth orbit and going around the moon. Now, importantly, when are we going? When are we going? It's soon, but how soon is it? So I know there's some people some students from Florida, and it was chilly there about 10 days ago. And the reason I know that is because I was there. It was actually quite cold. I'm glad I had my winter jacket with me. And here I was at NASA at the Kennedy Space Center. And this was like the best, happiest days of my life. I'd never been there before. First time, it was amazing. And you can see that because I'm smiling super hard. And this was my face pretty much the entire time. So you can see there's a big building behind me and then a big orange thing on the other side of me. So this big building is a very important building. This is actually where they build, basically, like Lego bricks. They stack the rocket there. It's called the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building. Very, very, very big. And so for the last couple months, probably about the last year or so, they've been building this big rocket inside of there. And we got to go inside, and it is it's a huge, tall building. And we'll use my face as a reference. You can see how tall it is. My head is pretty small, but this building is pretty big. And this is where they've been building this rocket. And about 10 days ago, January 17th, they brought out the big rocket. They rolled the rocket out of this building. And it took a long time. I have a video here, and I've sped it up. And you can see it's moving very slowly like this. You can see some cars go by and maybe some people. It's moving at about 1 mile or about 1.6 kilometers per hour. This thing it's like moving an office building on a tanker. So here's another photo of it. It took a few hours for it to come out. A lot of people had taken lots of photos, and we had our group here. And luckily, the astronauts came and they did a photo shoot. Well, photo shoot. They took a photo with us. A photo shoot. That would have been fun. Just a photo. And you can see them there on their knees right there. Okay. Victor and Reed and Christina and Jeremy. And eventually, after about 12 hours of them slowly moving this rocket, it got to the launch pad. So right now, as we talk, this giant rocket is at the launch pad, and they're hooking up cables and doing tests and hooking up hoses and stuff. And so the rocket right now, as we talk right now, is at the launch pad. The crew right now, the 4 of them, they are in quarantine. Now, you might have heard this word a lot the last 6 years or so. So basically, they're huddling together with their families, trying not to go in public and stuff. And they're doing this just in case they get sick, they can recover before they lead up to launch. So they're going to be in quarantine for about 2 weeks until basically the mission might happen. So here are the dates. We have a few dates that the mission could launch. So here they are. And so what we call these are launch windows. So these are periods of time that could happen. So February 6th to February 11th, every night we have a chance to fly. And if we miss it, February 11th, we go to the next month, March 8th to March 13th, April 7th. These are the launch dates. Okay, so it could happen. And here it is in a calendar form. Okay, so we could be going and rocketing away from the Earth back to the moon as soon as 10 days from now. This is coming up real quick. I've waited basically my entire childhood to go back to the moon, and I've been waiting about 4 years for this mission, and now we're counting down from 10 days. This is coming up real quick. The launch, all of these launch dates are going to happen in the evening, about 9:30 p.m., sometimes a little bit later. But about this time, you'll read about it, and you'll find out exactly when it's going to launch. But all going to happen in the evening. So you have permission from me. You can stay up late. Tell your parents. The guy on YouTube, he told you. Can't bless you or anything for that, but you will try it out. Try it out. Okay. Why? Why are we going to the moon? Why are we going back? As I said before, this is a crewed, meaning there's astronauts on it, crewed test mission to eventually put humans back on the moon. Now, I said before, we went to the moon a long time ago, about 50 years ago, and we landed there about 6 times, about exactly 6 times. All right. Now, we didn't stay for a long time on the moon. What was the longest time on the moon? The longest time we ever spent there was 3 days. Which isn't long. We weren't there for weeks or months at a time, just a couple of days. And so since then, what we've been doing is not going back to the moon, but what we want to do is learn how to live in space. And so you might have seen photos of this thing before. This is called the International Space Station, or ISS, you might have heard of it. And this is where we send astronauts most of the time when they go up into space. And here they live for about 6 months at a time, sometimes a year at a time, and basically want to learn how to live in space for long periods of time. And the reason for that is eventually we might want to go to Mars. Okay. And it takes a long time to go to Mars. It takes about a year to get to Mars and about a year or so to come back. And you want to spend some time on Mars, maybe a couple months. So it might be a 2.5-year mission if ever we want to go to Mars. We have to learn to live on Mars. We can do that around the Earth right now, pretty good, 6 months, a year at a time. But next, future missions for Artemis, we want to learn how to live long-term on the moon. And eventually that means we're going to have to build a base on the moon, learn how to live there, do research, build an economy so we can trade and give people a reason to stay there for a long period of time. Also adventure. It's a really fun, cool thing to be on the moon. And it's just, that is also worthwhile too, is having an adventure while we're there. So that is why we are going. Now, how are we getting there? Let's finish with this. How are we getting there? They're going there, obviously, by a big orange rocket with some white stuff on the side. This is called the SLS rocket, or Space Launch System rocket. You can call it SLS. Now, you might have seen, if you're into space or rocket launches, you might have seen there's other companies that do this. SpaceX is a big one, and they have a big rocket. You might have seen photos or images of their big rocket. Are we using this rocket for this mission? No, we're not. We're not using Starship for this one. Oh, are we using the bald Amazon Jeff Bezos rocket from Blue Origin? Nope, not using theirs. Okay, those are for some other missions, but we're not using it for this one. We're using the SLS rocket. And at the very, 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 very tippy top there, we have what we call the Orion capsule. And this is where the astronauts are going to go in, strap themselves into there, and then they're going to go up into space. Now, how big is this rocket? Here it is. And here's how tall it is, about 98 meters. Okay, that's about the length of a football field. But we've got a big people from Canada here. If ever you've been to Ottawa and seen Parliament Hill, we have the Peace Tower there. And this is where politicians yell at each other all day long. It's about that high. It's very, very tall. It's basically the size of an office building. Very, very, very tall. To give you a sense of scale, here it is. There's a photo I took, and I'm just going to put an arrow here. So try to focus on this part right there. And here, right there, is a human being, a person with a hard hat on. And hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense of scale of how huge, how tall this thing was. My mind couldn't believe it when I was there. It was mind-boggling. So they're going to get into this rocket. They're going to launch from Florida. And as they go up, some parts of it will fall away after it's spent its fuel. It's going to be very loud, very bright. And after about 8 minutes after launch, they're going to be in space. They're going to be in Earth orbit. And what they're going to be left with after that entire huge rocket is something looks kind of like this. You can see sort of in the top left, that's the capsule. That's where they are. And behind them, they got some rocket engine parts. And you might think, okay, we're in space now. Let's head straight to the moon. Let's just hit our rockets again and go there. They're not going straight to the moon. What they're going to do is they're going to hang around Earth for a little while, for about a day. And they're going to check out all of the systems. They're going to test to make sure, importantly, and I'm not even joking, make sure the toilet works. That's very important. Make sure the air conditioning all works. Do some other tests flying around some parts of the vehicle. So they're going to do this for about a day. And then, if everything is all good, they're going to say, let's go. And they're going to hit their engines. And they're going to fly out towards the moon. And it's called the translunar injection burn, but you can just call it go to the moon time. And it's going to take about 4 days. 4 days for the rocket, for the capsule to go to the moon. And once they get there, they're going to travel behind the moon. And you can see Earth in the background there. And eventually, we're actually going to lose contact with them for about 30 minutes. And it's just going to be all 4 of them by themselves with no contact with Earth. And they're going to take photos of the Earth and again, see parts of the moon that human eyes have never, ever seen before. And after about 30 minutes going around the far side of the moon, the Earth is going to reappear. It's kind of like a sunrise. If you've ever seen the sun come up, they're going to see the Earth rise up over the horizon. They're going to take a bunch of photos because it's going to look really cool. And then they're going to be back on their way, flying towards the Earth. And it's going to take about another 4 days to get back to the Earth. And when they come back, they're going to be coming back really, really, really fast. And they're going to separate from that part of the spacecraft. And they're going to be in their small capsule. And they're going to point their capsule so that the bottom of it is going through the Earth's atmosphere and heating up. This will be the fastest that humans have ever moved before. And they're going to have to slow down really quick. They're slowing down, and eventually they're going to open the parachutes and they're going to splash down just off the coast of San Diego. So this entire mission in total is going to take about 10 days in total. And here they are. And hopefully it'll all be a success for them. And I'm confident that it will. So for me, the important thing for me is I've looked up at the moon all the time since I was a kid. And I think with this mission, we're going to start to look at the moon differently the next time you see it. You're going to realize at that moment, wow, humans have been around that and we're going back to it. And humans, we haven't experienced this in over 50 years. But the other important thing is as the astronauts are coming up from the far side of the moon, they're going to see the Earth. They're going to take lots of photos. And everything you can see on this photo right here, that is the entire Earth. Everything you know, everything you love, all your students, all your teachers, your principals, the laptop that you're watching this on, everything is right there. And I think we're also going to look at the Earth differently too. So coming up, possibly within the next 10 days, all of this could happen. So that's my presentation right there. If it's time for a Q&A or whatever, I'm ready to go. So thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you so much, Trevor. That was beautifully done. I get to watch presentations for a living and get to partner with amazing people like Trevor. That was one of the most polished, slick, cool presentations explaining a whole bunch in a quick way I've ever seen in my life. Professional detachment out the window. So thank you for that very, very much. We are going to begin with our Kahoot together to reinforce some of the big concepts that you talked about in your talk. If you can see us, great. If you can't with your screen share, by all means, come out of that so you can see us. For those who are new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win is Trevor and I's everlasting respect. So no pressure at all. We have some Kahoot champions today in the past, so it's going to be a big competition. But no matter what, just good to reinforce these things. If you don't win, that's totally fine. And Trevor, if you want to help us along with hints along the way, you are welcome to do so. But let's get started, and then we can have a nice long Q&A together. There's already more questions in the YouTube chat than we can possibly take in one broadcast, which is a great problem to have. So I love your enthusiasm, everybody. And here we go. Number one, where will Jeremy and the rest of the crew be blasting off from? Florida, Kazakhstan, New Zealand, Ontario. We've sent a lot of missions from Kazakhstan. So classically, for the last many decades, we've been sending missions to space from sort of the former Soviet Union, Kazakhstan, and Star City. We're not doing that for this one. And maybe if you were listening to where Trevor just was, you will know the answer to this. I can't believe it was cold down there. For a bit, actually, it was warmer. It was colder in it was warmer in the Yukon than it was in Florida, I think, while you were down there, which is very different, shall we say. Yeah. All right, most of you got this right. Yes, Florida. We are blasting off. If you ever get a chance to see a rocket launch of any kind, I've seen one rocket launch in my life. It's one of the most profoundly beautiful things you will ever see on planet Earth. It's like magic. It's amazing. All right. When was the last time we were at the moon? Trevor talked about this a lot. 2022, 1972, 1932, 1992. I was born in 92. I wish we were back at the moon in 92, but that's not to be the case. Let's see. Get those answers in. 16 seconds, everybody. Cool. By the way, I'm so glad you highlighted all the astronauts. I encourage anyone, if you ever get the chance, when you're a little older, A Man on the Moon and From the Earth to the Moon, there's a mini series in a book that sort of highlight the Apollo missions en masse, and they're some of the best bits of science communication of all time.
Yep.
All right. Most of you got this right as well. 1972, over 50 years ago, changes our scoreboard entirely. Oh my goodness. Amazon Viper takes the lead by 1. All right. How long does it take to get to the moon? Is it a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, or a few weeks? You highlighted this really well, but historically, in astronomy programs of all kinds, this is one of the most incorrect questions. Like, a lot of people think it's very different. I want to stress too, for Mars, it's many months. So it underscores how much further away another planet is than us. The answer is correct. It's a few days. So 3 days, something like that. Mars is like 5 to 8 months, depending on where it is in its orbit, which is why that's such a bigger technical challenge. So great job, guys. Oh, that changed our leaderboard. Captain Deere takes the lead. This never happened. This is fun. True or false? Artemis II will land on the moon. This is like, in advance of this program, this is the thing that almost, like, never mind classrooms, almost no one seems to know the answer to this. So if you take this away from this, it's very, very important. Are we landing on the moon with this mission? Or are we just going around it? Just going around it's very cool. Let's see what we get. Almost 70 of you in. Awesome. See, okay. So yes, Artemis II not landing in the moon. 1 went around the moon, had no one on it. 2 is going around the moon with people on it, and then 3 will be the one that lands on the moon as soon as we can. Really, really glad we got that in. All right, Trevor, let's see our podium, and then we are going to head to La Vie for our first question, and then Miss Mullen's class will be next. We're going to try and hit everyone live, and then some YouTubers as well. Fabulous Ferret is second, and first, for all the marbles, is Captain Deer. If you are Captain Deer, way to go. Oh, my goodness. Well, Trevor, not only do I know who Captain Deer is because she's screaming and yelling, but she's our first question asker. La Vie in North Topsail Beach, come on in and take us away. Hey!
Hi!
Hi.
We're really excited because we might be able to see the launch from here. We can see when on the coast, we can see launches from Florida from where we are. So I'm really excited. We're going to mark our calendar.
How cool is that?
And you get to stay up. You get to stay up late because it's going to happen. 9:30. So yeah.
How are you doing today?
Amazing. So very good. Chilly, but good. Yeah.
So my question is, do you ever want to go to the moon, or would you colonize the moon if you got the chance?
Ooh.
Me personally?
Yes.
For me personally, I don't think I have I don't have the skill to even go up into space. I actually have a fear of flying. And so me even just going down to Florida a few weeks ago or 10 or so days ago, that took a lot of like mental preparedness for me. I need to sort of get into the right mood, have my right music, listen to the Top Gun theme over and over and over again. So I think they would weed me out as an astronaut pretty quickly. I understand the thrill of being able to like look at Earth in its entirety and see the moon. I think that would be incredible. I don't think I would be I wouldn't have the bravery to be able to be in space and know the speed I'm moving at inside of that small capsule. So for me, I'm gonna let other people. I'm gonna let Jeremy.
You're not. Yeah, stay away. You don't have the right stuff, and that's okay. That's totally fine. I also share your fear of flying. I find like the slightest bump in a plane, like deeply, like my hands are gripping the thing. So I feel you.
Yes. They personally asked me if I wanted to go, and I'd say no. I'm good. They did not. I have to say.
Great first question. Miss Mullen's class, come on in, unmute your mic, and take us away. Hey, guys.
Hi. My class has had a great time and found it very interesting. But they are curious. This mission, we're just going around the moon, but they're wondering if in some of the future missions, we're planning to set up a base on the moon.
Yes. Yeah. So I said before, Artemis I, no people on it. They went around the moon. Artemis II, people are on it and they're just going around the moon. So Artemis III, the plan is to land on the moon. And as I said before, we had Apollo missions and they landed on the moon. But they all landed. Let's see if I can find something here. I'm going to use the actually, yeah. Can you bring that here for a second?
We're doing gloves. We got the glove. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I don't
use it very often. So we landed on the moon 6 times, and we all landed sort of around the equator of the moon. So just any sort of parts there. Yeah, just move your finger along the equator there. So we kind of had to land in different parts, but all around the equator of the moon. For Artemis III, we're landing on the south pole of the moon.
Ooh, cool.
And so the reason we're going to the south pole of the moon is because there are parts of the moon that don't see the sun at all. So there's craters. If you ever look at the moon, you can see lots of craters on there. So inside of those craters, we have a frozen water or basically ice, and the sun never touches it. So it doesn't boil off or anything like that. So we want to land there because we want to investigate that frozen water, because if we have water there, that means we don't have to bring it with us when we travel to the moon. Water is actually very heavy. I'll drink some right now. It's very heavy. And so you don't want to bring that with you because you want to bring more equipment with you. So we want to take that frozen water and we can use it for drinking, but we can also use it for fuel. Water, of course, is hydrogen and oxygen. And the big orange rocket here, of which I have 2 versions of right here, the orange part, they use a big liquid hydrogen here, and then liquid oxygen up there. And when they mix together, a bunch of, that's what makes it go up into space. So basically, we have drinkable water there, and we have fuel. Now, there's a lot of steps to get to that point where we can actually drink moon water and use it for fuel. But that is the plan. We want to be able to build a base at the South Pole, maybe build a nuclear reactor there, so we have some power. But then usually use that area and the resources there for all that.
Super, super cool. Thank you for all that. It is like, it's the golden era of being interested in space. Like whether you're keen on the moon or Mars or deep space robotics, like it's just, there's so much happening right now. Like you're so lucky to be kids right now. And anyway, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. We're going to head to Illinois, and then we're going to head to Cochrane, Alberta, back to back. Morden Middle School, we're coming to you. In our Weller class, we're coming to you as well. But Glenview, come on in and take us away. Hey.
Okay, what's your YouTube channel called? Because I want to watch it. It sounds
sure. So my YouTube channel, this is coincidence, called Plateau Astro. So there's my logo there. But then Jesse just put up my my website, and I made a page specifically called Artemis. And basically, I'm doing live streams each night. Every Monday, teaching you about different parts about the mission. So I'm actually doing one tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So you can go to that page there. And at the bottom of that page, I also have some resources. So activities for kids, parents, educators there, things of like, so you can print these off and color them and you get some different parts of the spacecraft. So plateauash.com/Artemis, YouTube channel there, and activities for you.
I'm going to share that in the chat to everyone. I just have shared it in the chat to everyone, but I'll also email it to all our registered classes if you want to find out. Like almost no one does it better than Trevor. So there's lots to explore and discover there. It's amazing. It's one of our big questions as our organization is like, what are the resources for this? We're all doing all sorts of cool Artemis stuff. Trevor has the best stuff. Do check it out. Great question. Thanks, man. All right. Madam Weisbrot's class, Cochrane, Alberta. If you guys want to unmute your mic and come on up, you are good to go. Let's do this thing. Hey.
Why do they wear orange?
Ooh, why do they wear orange? That's a great question. Yeah. And I'm from Alberta, so yes, originally. So good. Yeah, why do they wear orange? It is because if in the event that the launch doesn't go perfectly, there's a system up at the top here so that they can escape from it. And they can escape and splash down in the ocean. Now, if there's an instance, this is probably not going to happen, okay, but we always want to be prepared, that they need to get out of their capsule and get outside of it. Orange is the best, brightest color for people to go and retrieve them. So if you wore, say, blue, if you have to splash down the ocean, it's going to be very, very hard to find you. But if you use bright, bright, bright orange, way easier to see. So that is why they use it. Yeah.
Really interesting. I've actually never heard that answer before. It makes perfect sense. There was only one, and this was in Kazakhstan. They had a rocket that went off and had to use that. That was the first and only time that's ever been used. Like, I've never heard of that happening elsewise. But, like, the rocket was going to have a failure in some way, and that did save everybody's life. And those astronauts have subsequently gone up, and it's been all fine. But every rocket that goes has that extra mechanism in case of an emergency with the main rocket. Very cool. Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. Morden Middle School had a great question in the chat. We're going to take that one. Weller, if you want to unmute your mic, we'll come to you next. Then we'll take some from our YouTube friends. They wanted to ask, how did you expand your company from your very first telescope? Did you have anyone to help you, or did you do it by yourself? I love these personal questions, guys. So nice.
Yeah. So I started with just a telescope, which is, maybe you can see in the background right there. So I would just set my telescope in the street and let people take a look and take photos with their phone through the telescope, so showing people the moon and the planets. I have been just a one-person company the entire time, but probably would not have been where I am now without in the early days, having my friends share my posts, share my events, leaving comments and liking the stuff. That was actually a great motivator. I don't think, if I didn't quite have that, I might have stuck with it, but that was so much easier. And then sharing with other people, and that sort of got things rolling. So I've never really thought about it in this way, but I guess all my friends were my coworkers, my sharing coworkers for that, even though they never got paid.
There's a lot of not getting paid in science communication. This is half the fun. This is why we do it, is because we just absolutely adore all this. I love your setting up a telescope and looking at the moon story. I will share this with our classes as well, but one of my favorite movies of all time, 2 minutes, is Wiley Overstreet, who we've had on the program as well, who did that and filmed it. And it's just a new view of the moon, and it will change your perspective on the moon. It makes me cry every time I watch it. Like, it's literally, it's just so profound that going out and seeing what we see every day in a new perspective can change your life. So thank you for that, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our Weller class, there's so many of you. Look at you all. Hello, unmute, come chat with us. Hey.
My question is, so when they're coming back from land, when they're coming back to Earth,
Yeah.
when they launch the parachutes, what if it's going in the wrong direction? Do they have to angle the parachutes, or does it just like plop down in the wrong direction?
Interesting. Cool question.
Yeah. So I think the answer is there's actually, I think, 2 types of parachutes that they use. So when they're first coming, they're still going pretty fast. And so you probably saw that image of me with the big parachutes. What they actually release first is sort of a smaller parachute. They call it a drogue chute. And basically it's a smaller one that I think stabilizes the spacecraft. And so that's how you spell it. It stabilizes the spacecraft. And then they release that, and then they open the big ones. And the big ones are what really slows them down. And so hopefully that leaves them in the right position to go. If let's just say the chute's open and that's fine, but then it sort of splashes sort of like on its side like this. And let's say it goes upside down like that. The capsule is actually designed so that it's weighted in a way that it will automatically go upright like this and then start bobbing in the ocean. So even if it did land upside down, it'll go right side up after a few seconds or a minute or so.
An astonishing amount of thought was put into not just this mission, but every moon mission to make sure that astronauts are safe at every possible thing, that anything that could conceivably happen, we're prepared for. There's never no risk in space flight. Like, we are putting people on the top of a 300-foot rocket and blasting them around the moon and trying to bring them back through the atmosphere faster than any humans have ever been. So there's always risk in space missions, but so many of the smartest people in the world have worked for decades to make it as safe as humanly possible. I love when we get questions like this. Thanks, guys. I want to stress, too, we got about 8 more minutes together because Trevor's whipping through these. We're going to take as many as we can, but please email me more. Check out Trevor's amazing website first, but email me more. We'll pass them to Trevor and we'll get your answers. There's literally kids lined up, more questions than we could possibly take, which is great. We'll take some from our YouTube friends. Elena, one of our most popular students of all time on YouTube, wants to know if astronauts have ever seen meteors while in space. So if they're going around the moon, is there a chance to see a rock fly by them or no?
Yeah. So I said before that, we're going to the moon for this one, but a lot of the spacecraft or space flight missions we've done the last 25 years have been just around the Earth. And the astronauts are staying on a place called the International Space Station. And so on the space station, they actually have this really cool thing. It's called the cupola. And basically, it's like a room that has windows on all sides. So they can take photos and everything. There's been some photos that astronauts have taken where meteors are kind of like little rocks or pieces of dust. When they hit the Earth's atmosphere, Earth's air, they make a bright flash of light. Okay, you might hear them called shooting stars or a meteor shower. And yeah, from the International Space Station, we've actually been able to photograph as they come on by. Now, the timing of that is pretty special. They happens really quick. So just they take thousands and thousands of photos. They don't plan this or anything like that, but sometimes they get lucky and they click their camera shutter at just the right time that they see a meteor pass by. So it hasn't happened a bunch of times, but it's happened a handful of times that astronauts have seen meteors from space.
Cool. I love it. One of the coolest things ever. I've never even heard of that question before. We've never had that in our history, and I love it that's the case. We had a great follow-up question. There's so many questions on YouTube. I can't find it right now, but it was, will we on Earth be able to see the rocket going around the moon? When it gets to the moon and orbits it, will we be able to see that or no?
Well, no, we won't. Okay. Visually, the moon is relatively huge, but the spacecraft is tiny, and it's not possible to be able to see that. The first question were people from Florida, and so they might be able to see the launch. That'll be amazing. It'll be loud, and everything will shake. That'll be amazing. But as far as seeing it leave Earth and go around, I don't think that'll be possible.
I will say, on a positive note, for those who do want to see things in space, not only can you see satellites every single night, but you literally can using this website, go and look at the International Space Station anytime you want. So no matter where you're tuning in from, you can go there and be like, I'm in Cochrane, Alberta, or I'm in North Topsail Beach, North Carolina, and type in, and you'll find out when the International Space Station is going overhead. I've done this, and you're like, whoa, there's people on that. That's mind-blowing. Everybody should do that. It's such a cool site. I can't recommend it enough.
And it takes it's moving very fast, but it takes about 5 or 6 minutes to go across the entire sky. So it's not like it whips by like a meteor shower. You can track it, and it gets brighter and then dimmer. It's really cool.
Super, super cool. All right. Our friend in Mr. Who's class, Eno, wants to know, how do you make moon water? If we get to the ice cap and we can get it, what do we do?
Yeah. So obviously when you get to the moon is very dusty. And so it's probably going to be a blend of sort of like a big ice cubes and then all this dust around it. And that dust on the moon is actually quite unique. It's actually quite spiky, I guess. If you took hopefully this is the first time ever and the last time you ever see somebody put their tongue out. If you licked it like that, that would not be good for your inside. So basically what they have to do is they have to take that ice, I imagine, melt it down, and then separate out the moon dust, the lunar dust, from the water, so that what you're left with is just that water. Jesse might be able to answer this. There is a process where you separate hydrogen and oxygen from water, electrolysis.
I think
Maybe
so.
that's it. Yeah, and so basically, yeah, you separate the two out basically, and so what you're left with is just the hydrogen and the oxygen. That is very power intensive, from what I've heard. So that's why we need. If you heard people talk about we need to have perhaps nuclear energy on the moon, it's for things like that, to be able to perform those sort of tasks. That's one way to do it. You might be able to use solar power, but yeah, that's what people are talking about: nuclear energy on the moon.
Since we've talked about moon dust and moon rocks, I'm just going to highlight, and I will share this with everyone. One of my favorite programs we ever had in our history was like a tour of the Moon Rock Lab in Houston. Like they literally walked around in the bunny suit and they're like, yeah, Neil Armstrong picked that up and Buzz Aldrin picked that up. And like, it's one of the coolest things we've ever done ever. And we got to go into the vault with the moon rock. So I'll pass that along to everyone. You should all check it out when we're done. Trevor, time flies and you're having fun. I'm going to take one more question from YouTube. I'm going to encourage all our audience, please do email me more. I know we can't get them all today, but there's lots to explore and discover. We'll go to, let's see, Miss Grimm's class. Welcome in Tucson. They want to know, oh man, so many questions for Miss Grimm's class. Is NASA and other space agencies looking into ways that we don't lose communication? So classically, when astronauts are in certain places on the other side of the moon, we can't talk to them because they're in like the radio shadow. Can you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, so basically when they go, here's the Earth and here's the moon, and when the astronauts are going on the far side of the moon, as you said, radio shadow, we can't talk to them because radio waves can't go through the moon and reach Earth. We don't have this in place yet, and what we could do, and I'm not sure if there's plans for this quite yet, is you could put a few satellites around the moon, say, I don't know, 5 or 6, I'm making up a number there. And then if you are on the far side of the moon, you could talk to that satellite, and that satellite you're talking to would have a clear view path to the Earth. That would be one way that you could do it. But because we haven't built sort of a base on the moon, and we don't go to the moon enough, we haven't found a way to justify putting what we would call a constellation of satellites around the moon. But if we do build a base, or if we start going to the moon often enough, probably eventually we will need some sort of relay satellite network to be able to do that.
I can't wait. Like, it's going to happen. So it's so exciting, and it's going to happen in our lifetimes. Like, it's again, a really, really thrilling time to be interested in space. I hope Artemis launches in our February window. You all get to experience this in not too long. And thank you so much for all of this today, Trevor. Before we wrap up and bring in all our classes to say thank you and farewell, is there any final message you want to leave us with about Artemis II before we say goodbye?
I have been into space since I was like 7 years old. So I'm 37 now. So that's an even 30 years I've been excited for this. It's surreal that this is actually happening, and I get to teach people about it. So I have to pinch myself that I even get to teach and talk to literally 1,000 kids about this. So thank you so much for watching, and Gosh, yeah, get excited. Tell your friends about Artemis II. Tell your parents and tell your parents' friends about this mission.
Thank you so much for the rampant enthusiasm. You're one of the more enthused people we've ever had on the show. I'm just saying something. I'm going to pass this along to everyone, but NASA has an amazing Artemis page. Canadian Space Agency has an amazing Artemis page. And of course, Trevor has an amazing Artemis page. So your curiosity will be sated by the end. We promise. Please do email me extra questions. And as we do to wrap up every show, I'm going to bring in all our kids to say a big thank you and farewell. So Miss Mullins' class, Madam Weisbrot's class, our Weller class, Lavi, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Home.